It's another thankful Thursday, and on this fourth day of the week, we're glad to have you right here on the AM show. You know who I am, and in case you didn't, in case you're joining us for the first time, Benjamin Akakpo is the name I go by. This is the AM show. It's a pleasure to welcome you aboard. Now, here's what you can expect today on the show. You know how we do it. The news will come your way shortly, right after which, for the news review, we'll be joined by the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Southall, Maxwell Lukoto, will be our guest. And then sports will follow with Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Now, in our big stories, this a matter of real security concern. 10 persons, including 2 policemen, have been arrested by the Rapid Response Unit of the Forestry Commission in the Juaboso district of the Western North region. Now, they include 4 Chinese and 4 Ghanaian collaborators. Now, 2 police officers believed to be protecting them were also arrested at the mining site inside the forest reserve. It's a security matter, it's an illegal matter, and we're going to be getting into that. But also on that bell, in some parts of the country, many children walk to school either barefoot or wearing worn-out sandals. Access Bank here in Ghana is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The bank has fallen on their staff and customers to collect abandoned car tires on the streets and remodel them into sandals for school children who do not have the privilege of wearing sandals to school. The very things you take for granted, they call a miracle. We'll be telling you more about that later on the show. Now, a research by the Catholic Relief Services and its allies has shown that malnutrition, and in particular micronutrient deficiencies and their public health consequences, have huge socioeconomic consequences. In Ghana, according to recent demographic surveys in 2022, more than 1 out of 3 women has an iron deficiency related anemia, and 49% of children under 5 are anemic, and anemia is prevalent in 51% of pregnant women. We'll be delving into that issue as well. And finally, we'll tell you about EduProof and its study abroad opportunities later on the show. What's the show without you? We'd love to hear from you. Shoot your thoughts to us via the live stream. And at the tail end, if we do activate the phone lines, be sure to give us a buzz. On that note, let's settle for the news up next. Welcome on the news belt of the AM show. In our first story, authorities at the Kintampo College of Health and Wellbeing are asking government to upgrade the school to a university status. Their plea may have been heard as Health Minister Kweku Adjuman-Menu says all necessary documentation has been carried out to facilitate the upgrade. Anas Sabit has more.
It is the 8th graduation ceremony of the Kintampo College of Health and Wellbeing, an institution established in the year 1969 with a mandate to train middle-level health professionals to provide quality and comprehensive health care to the populace, especially those living in the rural and underserved communities. The school today runs 15 undergraduate and certificate programs and can boast of a student population of 6,480. Director of the college, Dr. Kwabena Opoku Edusei, in his address said despite the school's efforts towards achieving the school's vision of becoming a world-class health university that responds to the health needs of communities, the lack of adequate infrastructure continued to be a major challenge for the school.
Now, some of the things that we request are physical infrastructure, halls of residence, lecture halls and teaching aids and equipment, staff accommodation, completion of the abandoned Get Fund project, which was supposed to house 400 students. And then we also request for upgrade of Kintampo Municipal Hospital into a teaching hospital level. We also need transport, human resource, adequate staff of all categories, as well as staff faculty development. Part-time lecturers have become very expensive.
He further appealed to government to allocate resources to the school to enable them execute their mandate.
The ministry is developing conditional service documents. I hope that our unique school will be given unique cover because we are unique. And just to remind all of us that we are not a nursing and midwifery school. We are unique, and that must be taken into account in all other resource allocations and other issues that come to the headquarters.
Chairman of the occasion and paramount chief of the Nkranza traditional area, Nana Kwame Vaah IV, made a special appeal to government to convert the college into a university status and advised the graduates to prepare towards the realities of life after school, adding that they'll have to go the extra mile to be able to deliver efficiently.
Ladies and gentlemen, health training institutions such as the Kintampo College of Health and Wellbeing play a no mean role in the healthcare delivery in this country. And it is important that we position to fulfill their mandate. The college has a history of excellent outcomes in the training of health personnel for the country, and I want to make an appeal to the government to consider upgrading it to a fully fledged university to train the needed professionals with the needed skills and capabilities within the middle belt of our country.
Special guest of honor who doubles as the Minister for Health and MP for Doma Central, Kweku Ejman Manu, reiterated government's commitment towards upgrading the institution into a university status.
And it will facilitate teaching and learning in the college. We're looking for it to upgrade to university status. We haven't completed the process yet, but I know gradually we will get there. This is an old school, very large facility. Houses close to over 5,000 students, and I believe this is the way we should go.
The 8th graduation ceremony of the Kintampo College of Health and Wellbeing was held under the theme, Achieving Good Health and Wellbeing for All, the need to upgrade the college to a university status. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit, Kintampo.
Now, stakeholders in the Sunyani municipality want city authorities to prioritize the involvement of adolescents in decision-making processes to solve societal challenges. Chief Executive of Global Media Foundation, Raphael Ahenu, says his outfit has created an adolescent parliament in the city to empower the youth to engage city authorities to address their concerns and ensure a healthy city for adolescents in Sunyani. Precious Semerville has more.
The Resilient City for Adolescents project by Global Media Foundation, Glometh, and partners aims to empower adolescents to engage city authorities in decision-making and address concerns to ensure a healthy city in Sunyani. As part of the project, an intermediary ecosystem city platform has been created to bring all stakeholders together to deliberate and address issues of adolescents at the biannual policy hearing in Sunyani. Here is Raphael Ahenu, Chief Executive of Glometh.
We have also have Adolescent Parliament. The Adolescent Parliament is a platform for adolescents to engage themselves, identify issues affecting them at their community levels. So the essence of bringing the key stakeholders and adolescents together is for them to know what is affecting the young people and then how we'll be able to address these issues affecting the adolescent in the Sunyani city.
Daniel Frimpong Sarkodie, Youth MP for Sunyani Area 4, requires more from the Assembly beyond sanitation, education, and health concerns.
I would like them to reinforce the law of parental neglect. The parents should take good care of their children, have time for them, and know their issues that they are facing through, so that some of them are facing bad things. They would rather go to their friends, peer pressure, give them some bad influence, which will make them go to other people, causing them into sexual activities, causing teenage pregnancy. Because I am educated on these issues, I sustain myself from all these activities. And so because I know that, I will teach my members and other area members.
Mr. Henu said the project expects the Sunyani Municipal Assembly to involve adolescents in the processes that target the youth for a healthy city.
What we expect the Municipal Assembly to do that will be more beneficial to the adolescent is creating a safe space for young people. When it comes to the health sector, we are talking of access to health facilities. Every health facility will have adolescent friendly center where young people can go there to seek for advice when it comes to sexual and reproductive health.
Now, New Age Agric Solutions Limited has commenced a journey to create 145,000 jobs for the youth, women and persons with disability, with women constituting 70% of the project. This is being done through the Harnessing Agricultural Productivity and Prosperity for Youth, that is the HAPPY project, in partnership with the MasterCard Foundation. The company has already met with farmers of the Tono irrigation scheme to brainstorm on how the project will improve their productivity. There's more in this report.
New Age Agric Solutions Limited, the CIMG Agric Company of the Year 2022, is set to create 145,000 jobs through the Harnessing Agricultural Productivity and Prosperity for Youth program. This will be done through the provision of 18,000 hectares of irrigated and rain-fed land for use by youth, especially women, over a 4-year period. According to the company, these youth will continue to have access to the lands for farming and be integrated into the network of farmers connected to New Age. Eugene Zoe is a project coordinator of the company in charge of rice.
Currently, we are looking at increasing our production to 600 hectares coming next year, January next year, because of the HAPPY project that we are going to embark with. We are looking at at the end of the project, we are looking to do 40,000 hectares of farmland.
He says New Age, through its project Chikaba, already support farmers with input to boost production.
New Age Chikaba, what we do is we support farmers by giving them the entire input for the production, which comes with the seed, certified seed as one that we give to them. We also try to give them crop protection, that is the insecticide and that of the fungicide, crop nutrient, that's the fertilizer, and also provide extension services to the farmers. What we are also looking at is to train the farmers. So training will also be part of the project that we have to do, to train the farmers so that they can be able to use the input and use it well and then get the best yield that they do for.
Eugene Zoe explains the target of this HAPPY project.
So our main focus is to make sure the farmer is able to increase his yield, his or her yields, from the 3.5 and then the 4 tons that they are making, 4.5 and 6.5 tons. That's what we are looking at. And this, the main target is also to see to the youth and that of the women. Our target is to make sure that the youth and then the women will cover about 70% of the youth and the women based on our production that we are about to do, so that we can be able to at least increase the livelihood of the people, the rice farmers and the people of Nabrongo.
Dr. Benedict Bonaventure Aligipam, the managing director of the irrigation company of Upper Region Limited, says the New Age HAPPY project will be a lifeline to the already suffering scheme.
They come with credit inputs and then they take the party, agreed with the price of the farmer. So New Age is now coming in to come and increase the scope of their model. So now they're coming in for about 400 to 600 hectares of land, and they want to see whether they can give more inputs to be able to offtake the rice. We have already signed an MOU with them. That's very perfect. We have been working all this time. Very soon we're going to sit down and draw the plan of activities in getting into the dry season and the wet season coming next year.
Some of the farmers said New Age has already started extending a helping hand to them.
They've actually came to help us about this season should be the third season here now. It is a good package for us to help farmers. So we are getting good yields out of early fertilizer that they normally give us. So we get a good yield out of it. And it's really helping us a lot.
The New Age help us with fertilizer, because when the fertilizer came, they give us fine, good fertilizer. That fertilizer to apply for the rice. The rice are just tiller, but the rice will not make green, but the tiller is there. So we are praying that next time they should help us and bring that fertilizer and then put our rice.
The primary goal of the HAPPY program is to catalyze transformative investment in the entire urban import and strategically fostering employment opportunities targeting youth, women, and people with disabilities.
Now, a non-governmental organization, Pencils of Promise and Fidelity Bank, have jointly financed a project to curb infrastructure challenges of the Kojeto MA Basic School in the Hohoi municipality of the Volta region. They have constructed a 3-unit classroom block and ancillary facilities and converted a dilapidated 3-unit pavilion into a classroom block to provide a conducive environment for academic activity. There's more in this report.
The Fodome Kojeto MA Basic School, comprising kindergarten and primary school, was established in 1973. It is one of the schools which has suffered an infrastructure deficit in the Hohoi municipality of the Volta region. School authorities were compelled to introduce a cluster system due to the lack of classrooms.
And what we are supposed to teach the individual grades is not being done because there is no infrastructure for that aspect, which is affecting the improvement of the learners. Because if they are in their class, the teacher will solely handle them as it is. But because they are being clustered, they are teaching them holistically, which is affecting their performance when they move to the next level.
This prompted the non-governmental organizations, Pencils of Promise and Fidelity Bank, to come to the aid of the school. The organizations constructed a 3-unit classroom block, converted the pavilion into a 3-unit classroom block, and furnished all classrooms. A mechanized borehole and 2 water reservoirs were provided to serve the school and the community. The country director of Pencils of Promise, Freeman Goba, emphasized his outfit's contribution to producing well-shaped future leaders.
So this is what partnership can do with a good partner like Fidelity Bank. We want to assure them that Pencils of Promise is ever ready for the next partnership so that these 2 brands that believe in education can elevate education in Ghana and also contribute our quota to building the human resource capacity of this country. Once again, we are grateful.
This project formed a key prong of our Orange Impact Initiative that sought to provide a medium to long-term suite of support packages in 15 marginalized schools located in various regions across the country within a period of 5 years.
The Volta Regional Director of the underscored the benefits of the infrastructure provided.
This 3-unit classroom block, equipped with ancillary facilities, stands as a beacon of progress, providing not only a conducive space for learning, but also symbolizing our collective commitment to nurturing the minds of our next generation.
I want to thank Pencils of Promise in affiliation with Fidelity Bank for giving us such a beautiful building. In fact, it's one of the most beautiful buildings in the municipality. Pencils of Promise, God bless you. Fidelity Bank, God bless you.
The Fodome Kojeto MA Basic School would also benefit from other educational programs of Pencils of Promise, which would include training teachers and distribution of electronic readers to pupils, among others. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Fodome Kojeto.
On that charitable note, we cap off the AM News, but stay with us for the news review right up next. Welcome aboard the news review segment of the AM show. But right before we dig in, you know your health is your wealth. I mean, it's trite knowledge, but how are you taking care of your health? Don't be one of those who go like, oh, well, it's expensive if you go for some of these checkups. So for that reason, I will not check myself out. The cost of remedying the situation if you get ill, no one wants to get there. And you know that. So I'm proffering for you this morning. Even if you had that concern, there's good news for you. It's courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They help us bring you this segment every morning. Now, here's what they're offering you. If you're a man, especially if you've hit 40 and above, check your prostate. They are offering that service to you, the screening, for free. If you're a woman, what's your fertility status, if I may ask? Do you know? And if you don't, are you not concerned? You can also get free screening at Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, here's where you can locate them across the length and breadth of our dear country. Here in Accra, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. Kumasi Kronoma Boyhia behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Stakradi Anaji State. There's Tema Community 22. There's Tichiman Hanswa. There's Isiama in Zima. If you'd like to call them, which I highly recommend you do, the numbers are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. The end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, guess who joins us? The NDC's parliamentary candidate for South Tong, Maxwell Lukuto, is our guest. I love that armchair, the couch you're in there. Hey, you are chilling, oh. You're chilling, and you are smiling at me this morning. That's good to know. I wanted to get you to smile, and I've achieved my objective. So, Maxwell, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the AM show.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I am very well. It's another brilliant morning. I am rather tired, but it's okay. It's part of life. Here we are doing what we do best. Where do you find yourself today? Are you in your constituency or back in Accra?
Yeah, I'm in the constituency trying to put things together, especially getting to the end of the year. It's also unfortunate I lost my senior brother in that car accident about 3 weeks ago, and I'm putting things together to be able to send him home on the 23rd of December this year. So I'm still around trying to put things together. Our
condolences, our sincere condolences. And you know, that reminds me as well of the gory statistics when it comes to road accidents in our country, among others. So our heartfelt condolences to you on that. But even as we proceed, is there any matter since you find yourself in your constituency? I think recently, it was just yesterday, I read a story about, I don't know whether it was Mepe or some other place, but they were saying that on the back of the Akosombo Dam spillage and the flooding that ensued, you know, it contaminated their sources of water, that they were in a precarious situation and that they needed water, drinking water. Now, you know, water is life. You can't joke with it. Is that situation in your area as well? Is that the situation?
No, generally, when the flood occurred, yes, of course, the water was contaminated, but per my understanding, those things, after a little while, the sediments would have settled or washed away in any form. And so the report we get from the Ghana Water Company is that it was after some few days during the flood, they go back to pumping water through our pumps. And so I want to believe that it is not as precarious as people may want to paint it. Of course, yes. So if you are not too sure, you may want to rely on some form of treated water. Possibly we outside the catchment area of the spillage where the sachet water is being produced. Of course, so if you have somebody producing sachet water in Sugakope, Tefle, Sukwe, and all those, the likelihood that they draw water directly from the Volta River is high. But we also know that some individuals take water from the borehole system underground. We can't be too sure whether there has been some this thing of the water through the ground, but usually with this underground water, it's not too likely it happens. And so even during that time, we rely more on those who use the boreholes than those who get the water directly from the Volta River before treating. And so some other this thing we are doing is that we are drilling more boreholes and repairing the old ones that have been more functioning for some time. I had to do some in Hume and also in Tefle. Just recently, one of our brothers, Stephen Adjukate, also had to come to drill some borehole at Tefle for us. And so we are looking for alternative ways of getting potable water for our people. But it is not as bad as people may want to paint it, because if we were, would have been recording some waterborne diseases within our hospitals and clinics. But fortunately, we'll be able to put a lot of these things under control. The only challenging thing for now is that relocation of people whose homes have broken down during the flood. You know, most of them are sweet homes, mud houses. And so once the water settles under them for 2-3 days, it is gone. So it is hard to rebuild these homes. That is becoming a challenge for us within the catchment area. And thankfully, some companies, some groups, yesterday I saw even the Age department donating some 125,000 cedis to the Northern MP for some resettlement of the people. And so once we can get these things and get some bags of cement, iron rods, and roofing sheets for some people, it will be able to bring them back to their normal lives. And so that is where we are now.
Well, that's definitely heartwarming, and we pray for the very best for our brothers and sisters in those catchment areas. Let's get into the papers now, starting with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Government plots new anti-corruption action plan in first quarter 2025 to replace NACAP 1. That's according to the Attorney General. There's been talk about decoupling the office of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice so that we can have, instead of everything we're seeing with the Office of the Special Prosecutor, we can have two different entities, one representing government and advising government, like with judgment debts and other such things, and another one basically representing the public interest and fighting corruption. But we'll get into that story and find out what this new proposal entails. NCCE rallies Ghanaians to participate in district-level elections December 19. I have heard the Electoral Commission talk about the fact that they are optimistic that for the first time in 2+ decades, I think the last time we hit over 50% was the 88-89 period, which would then mean that it's over probably 3 decades plus, yes. And whether we can hit 50% plus again, that's a matter of concern. But if we did, it would point to a deepening of democracy at the grassroots level. GCB unveils new mobile app, and 2 policemen, 4 foreign nationals arrested for Galamsey in Krokosua Hills in the Juaboso forest. We'll be discussing that, delving into it deeper later on the show. But let me bring you those stories. So the government of Ghana is in the process of developing a new strategic framework for fighting corruption. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Godfred Yeboah-Dame, has announced. He was speaking at the 10th conference of the states parties to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption on Tuesday at the World Congress Center, Atlanta, United States of America. To be called the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan 2, that is NACAP 2, Mr. Dame said NACAP 2 would be in place by the first quarter of 2025. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice told participants that Ghana's anti-corruption effort had been relatively better coordinated and systematic, resulting in significant progress since the adoption of NACAP in 2014. Mr. Dame said digitization of ports, pension schemes, the land registry, digital property addressing system, and mobile money interoperability systems helped to enhance transparency, accountability, and efficiency in the public sector. My question for you, though, and let me just bring this in. At the tail end, he says, when passed into law, the Conduct of Public Officers Law would address issues like financial portfolios held by public officers before assuming public office, links to family businesses, improper enrichment, care of public property, professional practices, property self-dealing, partiality in the performance of duties, sexual harassment, abuse of women, and use of public or confidential information to further private interests. What do you make of this, Maxwell?
Yeah, so like we all know, on Monday, the 10th session of the UN Convention on Corruption was held, and the Attorney General was also there. It's for about 190 states that attend every year. Of course, Ghana has signed on to this convention, and the Attorney General was there making this declaration. But for me, at the end of the day, there isn't anything new that he said that should tickle my fancy. All the things he's talked about are things that we know about. As a declaration, we have been aware that it is done in some kind of secrecy, that the public is not aware of what anybody has declared until something untoward has happened. Of course, putting people's information across is also something we want to look at. But if this information is not, we are not privy to this information, and then it's only when something happens that it has to be pulled out from an envelope, how assured are we that whatever the person declared in the first place is even right? And so for me, the Right to Information Bill has been passed into law, is it as effective as we want it to be? When you go to ask for the information, do they give to you, or they will put it under some national security classification and not give it to you? The digitalization we have spoken about, yes, digitalization is there, but we still have interface with our people. A lot of things happen. Lands Commission, which I am part of, yes, we have the digitalization, but the people who are fronting some of these systems will intentionally make it not functional so that you want to avert to a manual form of doing things, by which way they would also get their card. It's unfortunate that it's the same Ghanaians that we are fighting for to eliminate corruption are the ones that inadvertently would want to promote it in their own way and benefit from. And so, for me, I believe that we have had a lot of laws that controls and corruption or anti-corruption. The more we do, the more we drop in the index. The last time the index came, I think, was way around 52 or thereabout. And for me, we need to practically tell ourselves that it's something we all need to fight. You talk to the ordinary Ghanaian, and their perception is that once you become a public officer or a politician, you have to get yourself involved. It's funny the way majority of us think, but it should be some attitudinal change and some review of thought from us as individuals before we even get to public spaces or we even get to political positions, so that once we know that there are people behind who are watching our ways and our steps, we'll be able to do things right. For instance, me as a professional, sometimes or usually when I'm going on air to speak on national issues, my president will call me behind the scene or send me a message, we are watching you. And so I know that there are people who are watching me, and I'm careful the things I say and the things I do. By that, I am being guided, not necessarily by a legal statute, but because I know there are people around who will condone, knowing who I am, will not be happy to see me involved in some things. So for me, let us rather practicalize these things than rather going to give nice speeches and promising heaven when we are already in hell.
Promising heaven when we're already in corruption hell, huh? It's interesting. I met an elderly man yesterday who was so upset with the system and with corruption in Ghana. But anyway, at least strides to be made. I am at least happy about this law, at least NACAP 2. He mentions that since 2014, there has been some progress on that front, though in real terms, both the perception of corruption and the reality of corruption, I cannot say that we've made any progress. But something I'm excited about has to do with the fact that this law then would address issues like financial portfolios held by public officers before assuming public office, links to family business, improper enrichment, among others. I was just sharing yesterday in Nigeria a story about one of the generals. He was in charge of armament, procurement, and all of that. This person supposedly has some 10 buildings across the world, US, UK, and the rest. The latest was over $1 million. Put together, they are all worth over $10 million. This person's salary in a year, in 10 years, would not be able to purchase one of such buildings. But that's Africa for you. And that is our bane, which is why I always go back to Professor Chinua Achebe of Blessed Memories' book, The Trouble with Nigeria. You can pick that book, okay? It's a little book. It's a booklet, if you like. You can pick that book, The Trouble with Nigeria, written somewhere in the 80s, 1980s. And it is the same picture you would see today of Nigeria and of Ghana. You can just pick the name Nigeria out and put Ghana there, and it will fit perfectly. I don't know any people that can live like this.
Yeah, so we as individuals growing, even from the basic schools, going to secondary school, university, before we get to public service, what is the perception of the average Ghanaian about corruption? And so for me, let us begin from there, trying to cut it from the top, where politicians or public office holders are the ones that are to be held accountable. No, let us begin from the basics so that we know that we are growing with an attitude that when we get there, we will not depart from. So it's something we all as Ghanaians should go into the conversation and try to put things right. The pressure from individuals as soon as they hear you are a public office holder or you are a politician, it's sometimes the ones that push some people into trying to satisfy them by doing some of the things they do. So for me, it's a bigger conversation than saying that we are putting in laws, we are putting in statutes to regulate some of these things. It should rather more be towards attitude than other things. I hear in Japan or something, when you drop your wallet or your phone somewhere, you go and come back after 2 days, and it is there for you to come and pick. These are things that we must begin to do as Ghanaians. But if people see you in public office and you have a chamber and hall, and you are not able to change it to a 4-bedroom house after 4 years, then they say you are a big fool. It makes people begin to think that, then I have to do something else to satisfy the majority of the people. So for me, let us drift more towards this attitudinal change and change of attitude and mind in how these things must happen, rather than just trying to put laws to prevent people from doing it.
All right, let's stay on the standpoint of corruption very briefly. OSP prosecutes 4 corruption-related cases in court. That story also on page 3 of the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Now, the proceedings in 4 alleged criminal trials of 8 persons, including Ms. Cecilia Abna Dapa, a former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, are pending in different courts across the nation. The cases are different from the OSP's interim applications, where the court has barred the office from making arrests, conducting investigations, or seizing assets of individuals implicated as suspects and respondents. The prosecution closed its case in the trial of Alexander Kwabanasafo Kantanka, the municipal chief executive for Juaboso in the Ashanti region, for corruption in respect of a public election. You would recall that in recent times we exposed some people at the latest orphan constituency primaries of the MPP who had taken envelopes, among others. Now, the prosecution closed its case, like I mentioned in that one. He had been charged, in the person of Alexander Safo Kantanka, he had been charged with 26 counts of corruption in respect of a public election. The court is scheduled to make a decision on the defense's submission of no case on January the 23rd, 2024. The OSP also closed its case in the prosecution of Sumaila Abdul Rahman and 3 others of the Northern Development Authority corruption scandal, in which the former chief executive and his 2 deputies and a private contractor are facing 11 charges in respect of bloated contracts for a poverty eradication program in excess of 5 million Ghana cedis. That issue is still fresh in my mind. And a number of them. The case of the Republic versus Ajanim Boateng Ajay, you remember, former chief executive of Public Procurement Authority, and his brother-in-law Francis Kweku Ahen, has been adjourned to March the 4th, 2024 for continuation of cross-examination of the first prosecution witness. There's also the case of Madam Dapa in there. Then I'll tie in this story and then come to you for your reactions, Maxwell. 2 policemen, 4 foreign nationals arrested for Galamsey in Krokosua Hills, Juaboso forest. Now, 8 people, including 2 policemen and 4 Chinese nationals, were arrested on Monday by the Rapid Response Unit of the Forestry Commission for allegedly engaging in illegal mining activities in the Krokosua Hills Forest Reserve in the Juaboso Forest District of the Western North region. The 2 policemen, whose names have been withheld, carrying AK-47 assault rifles and other suspects, are currently in the custody of the Western North Police Command. The suspects were identified as Wen Shu-Yu, 30, Wen Yong Cheng, 30, Wen Fu Kin, 58, Li Pin, 60, Edward Owusu, 25, Kwesi Frank, 42, Abudu Ramani, 41, and Joe Naburi, 37. Where will you go into a house and meet a family and speak to the father and have the father assist you rob that family? His own household. But that is only in Ghana. That is what we are seeing here. We are assisting others to rob us. What are your thoughts?
Only in Ghana you can see these things happening. And so you see, going back to my original case, that it is more about attitudinal change, our love for country, and what we believe should be the situation so that all of us enjoy. If people feel that they are the only ones that need to take the bigger chunk of the cake from the national level, then they look at, or they look out for schemes to be able to do this. The OSP, yes. Like I said, our vice president will continue to tout the digitalization achievements and what is doing to the anti-corruption drive. But can that prevent that, apart from stocking her home with so much cash, can it prevent the Chinese from going to the bush to go and mine with the assistance of the Ghanaians themselves? So for me, some of these things, yes. Ajabin, you see, go on and fight. You have decided to take the fight. You are leading it. whether you are getting frustrated, most of us are encouraging you to go ahead. And surely there will be light at the end of the tunnel. We should encourage him to do more and make sure that we litter on these things in the band. Yes, this political situation where in the primaries people were saying, flouting cash in envelopes and saying that this man gave me this man, this man gave me this man. Yes, those are things we need to do. But for me, these are small things that would want to push the situation higher and then look for the bigger fishes. Somebody who has gone to the police center to be given an envelope, maybe 200 cedis, 300 cedis in the name of transport, and then, but it's unfortunate that they could go to the extent with the bravado displayed on live TV and then say that. So some of those things, yes, we need to prevent them. And I don't know as far as how much far Kisi Ajebe will be able to prove these cases, but are there the bigger ones we need to be chasing? So for me, the Chinese nationals that are being prosecuted, good. Aisha Wan has been prosecuted. I don't know why these Chinese go to the extent to still be doing the things we hear and see them do. So it's because Ghanaians are aiding them on and then supporting them to do the ill to our land, to our water bodies, and to our environment. And so for me, the Ghanaians should be given a harsher punishment than the Chinese national, because like you said, you come to somebody's home, the father will teach you, the money is here, the jewelry box is there, go and take it. How can we do this to ourselves? It's so unthinkable. And for me, we should begin to change our attitude. We need to. This won't happen in China. It will not. It will not happen in China. So why would it happen in Ghana? Because we don't love ourselves, we don't love our environment, we don't love our water bodies, and we don't love our land. That is the only way by which we can poison it. And so it brings me back to the issue of poison for gold. These are the situations we find ourselves in, and it's so bad, my brother.
Let's get into some other stories. The Daily Guide this morning, a breakdown of MIF's investment in Atlantic Lithium. This story is not going anywhere. There's been a lot of talk about it. Minority chases Bank of Ghana governor's removal. NPP mourns Amma Busia. And of course, our hearts go out to the entire NPP fraternity and of course to her family as well. Digitalization eliminates corruption. AG tells UN. I've already delved into that story. Cecilia Dapa's maids, 5 others sweat over bail. And then GCB Bank unveils enhanced mobile app. And let's get into those stories now. I'll start with this one. Let me go here. Okay, so Chief laments Bimbagu South bad roads. As for bad roads, I don't want to form the nexus. I want to put in words. So let me leave it there. The chief of the Bimbago traditional area, Chief Ubo Sigom Daniel Tibela, has lamented the bad nature of the road network in his traditional area. According to the chief, farmers in the area have recorded post-harvest losses due to the bad nature of roads. He indicated that the biggest market in the northern sector was located at Bintri in the northeast region, but farmers in these areas were poor because their road network was not motorable to transport their farm produce to the market. Now, who calls them? The Minority Caucus in Parliament has officially requested the presence of Dr. Ernest Addison, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, to receive their petition calling for his removal from office. In October of this year, the minority group took to the streets and marched to the central bank's premises to demand Dr. Addison's resignation. However, their efforts to submit the petition were hindered as the Bank of Ghana governor did not meet with the Minority Caucus. The security personnel designated to receive the petition on behalf of Dr. Addison were rejected by the minority group. Now, in a statement released on Monday, December the 11th, 2023, and signed by Minority Leader Cassia Lato-Forsen, it stated, "We therefore write to request your availability at the premises of the Bank of Ghana head office for the honorable members of the Minority Caucus in Parliament to hand over our petition to you personally." All right. There's an interesting question that has been posed, though. You want me sacked, yet you want me to receive your petition, the same petition that is asking for me to be sacked. It's a bit comical, it's a bit funny, but that's the reality as well. Whether he'll receive it or not is another matter. Of course, it goes according to the Constitution and the rights that we all have. Let me do that story on page 6, and then we can come back to other stories. So, Madam Ama Bame Buzia, an elder of the New Patriotic Party, has returned to her maker aged 87. A respected personality in local politics, she was the sister of the late academic and politician and Prime Minister Kofi Abrefa Buzia. Last year, she launched her book, Bittersweet Pill of Politics, a political memoir. She received rousing accolades from top political leaders from both sides of the political divide at the launch of the memoir. Ama Bame Buzia started her education at the Wenchi Methodist School. In class 3, she left and finished her education at the Methodist Middle Girls School in Kumasi and later the Commander Training College. Ama Buzia studied institutional management and catering at the Regent Street Polytechnic in London while in exile with her brother, Dr. Kofi Abrefa Buzia. She became the national vice chairperson of the MPP, as well as a member of the Council of State under former President J.A. Kufuor. May her soul rest in peace. It's a journey we all have to undertake at some point. We pray that while we are here, we'll do God's bidding, fulfill his purpose for our lives. But our condolences once more to her family and to the NPP fraternity. Any quick reactions, Maxwell?
Yeah, sure. So the Bank of Ghana and the saga linked to Ken Ofori-Atta, Parliament has called on Ken Ofori-Atta to resign. The majority led the chorus, minority followed. At the end of the day, the president promised all of us that they should allow him to go through the presentation of the budget, and after that, or even the IMF and the World Bank facility that we were chasing, he asked that they should allow him to go through it, and then he will relieve him of his position, or he himself will kick goodbye to his seat. But unfortunately, the president, who doesn't live through to his words, has never gone back to think about whatever he told the majority caucus then when they were agitating. Same thing is happening to the governor of the Bank of Ghana. When the whole minority leadership, together with all of them, the caucus decided to go to his office to get a meeting, he decided to send a security man to come and meet them. So, and they decided not to present the petition to him. Now they are calling on him to come to the House of Parliament to come and receive your request to be sacked or resign letter. Like you said, it's a comic thing, but you know, Parliament has the power to subpoena or to summon anybody in public office to the House to come and give their report and to do anything that they deem necessary and fit, because they have the oversight responsibility over everybody and anybody, same as the president himself has to go there and give the State of the Nation's address to them, to tell them, and Ghanaians for that matter, what the situation is. And so, like you said, it's a constitutional matter. And so whether he lies or not, I'm sure that he has to appear and to receive. There's one thing receiving the letter in the first place and another thing acting and resigning. But it's only in this part of our world that people don't look at why they should resign. Because, of course, they enjoy the largesse of their offices, and then whatever it is, they will always want to benefit from, whether they are doing the reasons, the very assignment for which we have sent them there or not. They would want to hold on till Jesus comes. And so he would have to appear and do the best he can.
All right.
On the issue of the bad roads, yes, it's all over. The year of roads 1, year of roads 2 has been declared by this government. And still we are not seeing anything. All the roads that have started have stopped. Look at the Tema, Towenya, Aplau road that have started. All those flyovers and interchanges that have been done. They have stopped for so many months and nothing really is happening to them. Several roads within the Accra, the Greater Accra region that have started have all stalled, and other regions. And so, as for talking about bad roads, the demonstrations, every day we hear of demonstrations, people will fight, people will demonstrate. It's always there. We'll do it and nobody cares. So I don't know what is going to change. We'll cry every day for our roads, but whether government even has the resources to fix them is another matter of concern. And so, but we need to continue to cry. They will come and tell us all the sweet things we don't even want to hear. They are forcing us to hear that this government in the history of Ghana has done more roads than any other person has done, which are all lies, but they will always force it through. And for me, the reality is that we are seeing what is happening on the ground. and every day people complain about the situations one way or the other.
Right.
Our condolences to the family, the Buzia family, and the Elephant family for losing a star. Ama Buzia is a strong woman. She has risen. She has risen to all the highest levels in the party leadership, especially under Kufuor. And we can only wish her well. At the age of 87, I'm sure she has done her bit, and then she should rest in peace.
Thank you. There's an editorial on page 4 of the Daily Guide newspaper. OSP, a haunted house. That's the question. OSP, a haunted house. You can check that out. On the international front in that paper, intruders spray colored gas in India Parliament. And it's getting interesting more and more as we see people dissatisfied with leadership and some of the things that happen. Recently, I saw a video, I want to believe it is authentic, of farmers, disgruntled farmers somewhere in France spraying manure, liquid manure on a government building. And they were allowed to do it in protest because of some farming policies. They did that. Manure, smelly manure, sprayed it on government buildings. I'm talking of spraying, like spraying the whole place like that. Yeah. And here in Ghana, you even want to demonstrate and it becomes a tug of war. Trump loses immunity bid in Carroll defamation suit. He cannot assert presidential immunity from a defamation lawsuit by writer E. Jean Carroll, who accused him of rape. A U.S. appeals court has ruled, dealing the former U.S. president another legal setback. Here in Ghana, we've made our presidents and others all-powerful, omnipotent. You can't even bring up certain cases against them within a certain period, after a certain period, and all of that. A lot of hogwash, I'm sorry. And we protect all of these people when we cannot say for a fact that some of them will come or all of them will come and do the right thing, which is also my problem with the LI on importation, because then you give too many wide powers and then you know how it is. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Thai MP convicted for posts insulting the monarchy, and Ugandan serial killer sentenced to 105 years in jail. The High Court in Uganda's capital, Kampala, has sentenced the 25-year-old serial killer to 105 years in prison. This one, what can you say? Next time in Subio. Anyway, so those are the other stories. I'll just wrap with this so that we go. Business Finder, data of citizens critical. Let's address challenges. That's according to the CJ. And I'll do this one. I'll read a bit of it. 68% cut in wash sector funding. WaterAid Ghana worried. And I am very worried as well, which is why I'm reading the story. In a sobering analysis of Ghana's 2024 budget, WaterAid Ghana has highlighted a concerning 68% reduction in the allocation for the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources compared to the previous year. The total budget for MSWR plummeted from 1,847,454,545 cedis in 2023 to a mere 591,052,380 cedis in 2024. This drastic reduction is primarily attributed to a staggering 76% decrease in funding from development partners, overshadowing a modest 10% increase in the government's contribution. And that, for sure, will have its impacts. But I know some will be concerned, especially as it has to do with the Ministry for Sanitation and Water Resources. You have less than a minute to share your parting remarks, Maxwell. Let's go.
Yeah, sure. So data of citizens very important. I think that we do too much about our private data in this country, and we don't take issues about data collection, data management very seriously. You see multiple institutions trying to gather data on same individual over the period, and you wonder whether we have a data management system that you have a mega data city somewhere that data can easily be gotten from.
Right.
And the level at which we even share our private data with other unknown individuals, it's something that borders on some level of criminality. Because how can I receive message from an unknown individual about something that I'm not too interested about? How did he get my telephone number and then my information to be able to send this to me? These are issues about security that Ghanaians do not take serious notice of. And we do this with impunity. And so for me, yes, let's tighten our data collection, our data management, and ensure that everything needed about us, we get it sitting somewhere. And then at any time we can recall and make sure that even criminals can be gotten easily than we see things happening these days. You go commit a crime and you go stop free. Look at somebody being jailed for 105 years for killing other people. But Ghana, what do you see? People do serious things and they are given 2-3 years. Look.
Maxwell, thank you. We have to go, but I think your point is well made on that. As for our legal system and the dynamics, just like with NACAP 2, there's a whole lot to do there. But we're grateful, as always, that you make the time to join us. He is NDC's parliamentary candidate for South Dome. Maxwell Lukuto is his name. Thank you so much, sir. Right before we go, yesterday I was at Conversations in the Cathedral, proudly Catholic, hosted that event at the Holy Spirit Cathedral. I would like to say a very good morning to His Grace, the Metropolitan Archbishop of Accra, John Bonaventure Kofi, for the good work you're doing, and to our Lord Bishops, all of those who made it there. I also say that because yesterday, a man came to me after the event, elderly man. It's not the best of things to ask for the person's age. He could be in his 70s or 60s. And he said to me, my wife was here. The whole place was packed. My wife was here. And she called me and said, this gentleman that you watch every day, you're constantly talking about, is hosting this event. This man says he walked from Accra Central and came to the Holy Spirit Cathedral just to see me. I was so touched by that. The name Herbert Bulle. Herbert Bulle. So, Mr. Bulle, we are grateful that you actually watch us every morning. I am immensely grateful that you actually shared that moment with me. And we pray for the very best for you in life. Mr. Bulle, God richly bless you. I wish my producer would stop speaking in my ears while I am actually sharing my thoughts. Herbert Bulle, Yamin Shao Bebre. I really appreciate it. It was so heartwarming, so touching yesterday. The fact that you walked from Accra Central to come to the Holy Spirit Cathedral just to see me. You humbled me, and thank you so much for that honor. We're celebrating two special people today. Tijani Isaka, you sent a message on the live stream. You say, good morning, Benjamin. Today is a special day for me as it is my birthday. I pray for more strength and favor in my endeavors. Tijani, we pray for same for you. May God bless you abundantly, grant you favor, and most importantly, may you live according to his will and for his purpose. We also celebrate our own in-house gentleman, one of the finest, very affable fellow. He's one of our very own, Nicholas Yamwa. My only problem, this dude is trying to grow too quickly. He's attributing age to himself that he is not. But Nicholas, God richly bless you for the good work you do for God and country and for our team. We celebrate you, Nicholas Yamwa. That's the note on which we cap off the news review this morning. Mind you, this segment always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering you free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Just look out for any of their branches. Here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronomabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takrade Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the start of sports. Up next.
You're still watching the AM show and it's time for sports. My name is Haruna Mubarak. Now, former Hearts of Oak midfielder Stephen Appiah has called on current players to stop relying on the club's pedigree and showcase more of their own quality following their dismal start to the season. The Phobians have struggled in an ongoing campaign and now sit in ninth with just 2 points above the relegation zone. Appiah believes they can turn things around with a change of mindset. There's more in this report by Lawrence Baidu.
The former Hearts of Oak midfielder says the club has fallen from its glory days, adding that it's high time the players show their quality at the club. The Phobians have struggled in the last 2 seasons since winning the league. The board has also sacked 3 different coaches in that run. The club has won just 3 games in 14 fixtures in the Ghana Premier League this season, losing 4 in the process, with the latest being the defeat to Asante Kotoko last Sunday. Speaking to Joy Sports, Apia, who played for the Accra-based side between 1995 and 1997, called on the current crop of players to prove their worth on the pitch.
The situation, I mean, the class of folk that we know is not what we're seeing today. I mean, they are finding it difficult to win games that we think that they will win. So, but we have to know something, that today football is football. Gone are the days where you have only 2 or 3 teams. I mean, Kotoko class of folk that they have all the best players, so you will see them winning and winning. But this day we have teams like Mediama, you have other clubs who are doing so well. So it's very, very competitive, and then they should know that, I mean, going on the pitch is not about as of it's about what you do on the pitch. So I think that's what the team is lacking.
Hearts currently sit 9th on the league table with 16 points from a possible 42 available. They are also out of the MTN FA Cup after losing to Nania FC. Hearts face Nations FC in their next league game.
To the Black Stars, and former Ghana international guest Nahimfu believes the Black Stars can win next year's Africa Cup of Nations only with adequate preparation. The country has not won the title since 1982, but preparation seems to have hit a snag as the FA is yet to submit the team's camping plans to the Sports Ministry with about 4 weeks left for the continental event. Ahemfo wants the FA to act as quickly as possible.
Today, I think I was reading, and then the deputy minister of sports was saying, as of now, he's not received the program for the Black Stars as to where they are going to come preceding to the Nations Cup. If that is the case, then I will entreat the FA to as quickly as possible put that up. I am sure by now they know where they are going to camp the team. I think it should be made public so that whatever we can do to help them also we do. But once again, it's up to the coach who is in charge of the team to select the best materials that we have available and put them together, because it's not only selecting the players, but blending them together to have a good team is what we are looking at.
All right. You mentioned about putting them together. I know you've seen some in the past, and then we will see more at the AFCON. But how do you rate the chances of the Black Stars heading into Ivory Coast?
It's a tournament. In football, everything is possible. We just have to prepare well. I think though the 20-something countries partaking in the tournament, everybody is coming there to win, or everybody wants to come there to come and have a piece of the cup. And so we just have to prepare and prepare well. It's the AFCON. The group stages is different from the knockout stages. So the progression is what we have to look at. If we go and then we start well, I believe that the sky will definitely be the limit.
That's how we wrap up the sports on AM Show. My name is Harun Mubarak. The show continues right after this.
Two policemen, 4 foreign nationals, and another 4 Ghanaians are involved in that latest incident, which takes us all the way to Juaboso. And that's why we're starting the conversation talking about illegal mining in Ghana. Thank you for staying with us. Our guest on this belt, Elizabeth Alua Vaah. She's Executive Director, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group. Elizabeth, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good morning. Nice to connect with you again. Hopefully on a better note.
Yes, hopefully. You have constantly characterized this entire Galamsey menace as environmental terrorism. And here we are at another point where an arrest has been conducted and we have police officers supposedly complicit, together with 4 foreign nationals, and then another 4 Ghanaians. I want your initial reactions to this entire incident. What is your take?
Well, it's good. It's good news. We've always known that the so-called guardians are the predators now, especially the security services, the people that are supposed to be protecting us, protecting the country. Some of them have most of the time been mentioned as either protecting those who are devouring our countryside, or themselves involved, or really mostly complicit. Because the last time we heard of this young man, what's his name, from somewhere in Bura, who had accosted a few policemen from Maxim because, you know, they were just collecting the money and not giving him his share, although he's the one that runs the whatever it is for them. So we know they have been complicit. Most of the time, even in some districts, my own district, you see the Galamsey going on, and the police are in their whatever cars and whatever parked by the roadside, waiting to collect their share of the booty. So it's good that somehow these policemen have been arrested, these security people have been arrested as part of this group. We are expecting to see things get to their full conclusion. It's good news, yes.
All right, so good news. These people have been apprehended. But it reminds me of a statement that a former Chinese ambassador to Ghana had made, and I'm sure you're well aware of it. He said, and in anger at the time, that the Chinese that we are victimizing, so to speak, they don't know where the gold is in Ghana. They don't get the excavators and whatever to those places. And it's Ghanaians who go and show them, and it is Ghanaians who pave the way for them. Where will you lay the blame in this? Yes, for every Galamsey incident, every 10 Galamsey incidents, you would probably have about 6 or 7 involving Chinese. But should we really be faulting them? I painted a picture this morning in respect of a family. Imagine there's a family, and the father of the family facilitates a robbery of his own household. Does that make any sense? But that's exactly what we are doing. So whom do we blame on that before we even get down to the scourge of, you know, security officers getting involved? What do you think of that?
100% is the Ghanaian. It is the Ghanaian fronting for them. It is the Ghanaian who hires them in. Ghanaians most of the time get the concessions, or they don't get a concession, and then they go bring them to come and help them devour it. So it is the Ghanaian. The day we become disciplined, the day we realize that every distraction we cause is going to come back to us, and we change our ways, things will change. It's 100% the Ghanaian. If the father connives with an armed robber to come and rob his home, he is the one that has caused the destruction of his home, not the armed robber.
Now, let's focus on the concern of security officers. Our security officers, who are supposed to prevent such things, who are supposed to stand for Ghana, also getting involved. If a layperson gets involved, you wouldn't excuse them, but you would say to some extent that, but these are people who have pledged allegiance to protect our country, to protect the citizenry. We've had police officers, if you remember the Axim issue, among others. We've had military officers, soldiers involved. Why do you think this is happening, Elizabeth?
I will put it down to indiscipline and the fact that when they do these things, nobody gets punished, right? Erastus has shown in several instances where policemen, security services have been involved. They have been protecting foreigners and even also Ghanaian nationals to pillage forest reserves. And we haven't seen what happens to those people. The Axim one I mentioned, I understand the young man is in prison right now. And I keep asking myself, what happened to the policeman? Because if we listened carefully, he had been working for them until he got tired of being, quote unquote, robbed of working for nothing. That was when he accosted them. Eventually, the young man is rotting in jail, but the policeman, because in certain jurisdictions, in certain disciplines, even they say what? To whom much is given, much is expected. You have been trained as a security officer on the Ghanaian taxpayers' dime. And then instead of protecting the country, protecting the people, you are rather protecting those who are sabotaging, devouring the country. They should even be punished more than the person who is not a security person. You know, because it's a betrayal of the trust of the Ghanaian and a waste of our taxpayer money. And yet, they get things covered up, they get moved around, and they are still within the system. Something's got to give. We have to be harsher on them than even the regular people. And if we are not, then of course they will continue to do it.
Why do you think?
There's a name for it.
Right.
There's a name for it. Yeah.
What is the name for it?
Oh, when those who go on these patrols and stuff, it's like it's what do you call it? It's like payday or something. It's the easiest way to make money is to be involved in one of these patrols.
Why do you think there seems not to be that will, especially when it comes to our security forces, and not just tied to illegal mining? You would recall the killing of those 7 youth in the Ashanti region a long time ago, and how long it took for any action. At some point, there was some compensation, I think, by the state. But you would see there's a certain pattern, a trend, where officials of our security services, we saw what happened in Ashaiman with the military officers. Could there have been some legal ramifications for them? I'm just saying that whether it's the police or soldiers or whatever, there seems to be a pattern where if they are involved even in crime, sometimes they get away with it. What do you think accounts for that? And how can we change or flip the script?
Oh, haven't we seen a lot of people who do bad things get away with it just because they can? The security services are no exception. You know, everything comes from the head. You set the tone and it goes across. In our case right now, if you know somebody in high place or you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, you can virtually do anything and get away with it. So if there is no that kind of discipline, that kind of, you know, holding people accountable is not working from the top, then it won't work anywhere. So the police, the security services structure, whoever is in charge is going by whoever put him in charge. If they said for allowing so-and-so to happen without any consequence, you lose your job, you think they will just watch these things happen and no consequences? No. But right now in the country, it's like, depending on who you know, you can do whatever it is and get away with it. It permeates every aspect of our lives right now. So discipline is not there. There's no accountability, and nobody is held accountable for what they do.
Now, with this situation that we're facing, we know that the Rapid Response Unit of the Forestry Commission had to, intervene and ensure that this came to a cessation. In terms of the foreigners as well, we've seen in recent times at least some action with Aisha Huang, who was a repeat customer in committing crime in this country. Some people said that, well, it would impact our fortunes of getting any debt relief or debt agreement on our external debt with the Chinese, because they can be pretty they can take things pretty hard. But what would you like to see from where you stand with the law cracking the whip on these Chinese? While I always say that I don't want to create any stereotype, they have created a stereotype for themselves by always being complicit in these. What would you like to see happen to them before we talk about what you would want to see happen to the Ghanaian nationals involved?
Yes, your reference to Aisha Wan is interesting. And so we didn't want to prosecute her because it would affect our fortunes. I wonder where that led us, because it's this same, it's our loans with the Chinese that is causing us to not even be able to secure a deal on our debt restructuring. So, and that really didn't take us anywhere. They've tried to give her 4 years. I think it's too lenient, and I'm glad that the Attorney General has appealed. We are all looking to see that she gets what befits the crime that she's committed. Now, with the rest of them that have been arrested, I mean, our law is clear, right? How many years jail term a foreigner is supposed to face if they engage in illegal mining versus what a local, how many years a local is supposed to have. I think we should let the laws work. We are fond of, crafting laws just to say that we have it in our books. A law is nothing if people who do not obey it just go scot-free, or there's so much leniency in terms of how it's applied. So the law is clear in our books how many years a foreigner should be jailed if they engage in illegal mining activity in the country. It should run as full course, and those people should serve their term in Ghana, and after that they should be deported. We shouldn't be told for one reason or another that they can't be found in our prison system. This has to stop. People have to love this country enough to make sure that she's protected.
And for our locals, you were saying initially that they should face even stiffer punishment, and I agree with you, actually. But what then happens to the locals and then, of course, the police? I feel if there should be any stiffer, the stiffest punishment should go to the police officers, if this, of course, is proven in a court of law. You always want the court system to take, or the law to take its course. But what would be your take on the local content in this matter?
Well, again, our law is clear on what jail sentence and what fines a Ghanaian who does such things should face. So the law should take its course, and they should get the punishment that they deserve. For the police, for the security people involved, I think it should also, on top of that, the fact that they have betrayed their country should count in their sentencing. But you see, just to add in here as well, in preparation for coming into your program, I said, let me check, other places where there is natural resources. What is happening there? Do you have nationals just, going haywire and just destroying their country, destroying the rivers, the forests, and everything? And I just chanced upon the Norwegian, Norway, right? Norway found oil. You know what they did? They created a sovereign fund.
Yeah.
Put a big chunk of the whatever they get out of it into it, such that for the next however many years, hundreds of years, a child born in Norway is going to be richer just because that child is born in Norway than a 40-year-old Ghanaian. This is the generational planning that we lack, because in some of these places where there is gold, we've virtually given it out to people to mine and take it away, and then the locals are just left destitute to the extent that some are ready to, go die in pits and do whatever it takes to survive. We have to rethink how we make use of our resources. I'm very happy that with the lithium, the likes of Prof. Jampo have stood up and I'm hoping that it doesn't die there. We have to relook at our resources, because there are communities where the youth there think there is nothing else for them to do than to go and do Galamsey, than to go and do illegal mining. And when you look at it, the resource is virtually being taken from under their feet by either foreign companies or crook individuals in our country, to the extent that communities are left with nothing but, just doing whatever it takes in these pits. There's something fundamentally wrong with how we exploit our natural resources, and whether communities that are sitting on those resources get to benefit from it or not. So we have to look at all of that in its totality.
Now, speaking of which, if you look at, quite a number of items were seized. They had put up those makeshift structures. 3 Toyota 4x4 vehicles were seized. And then there was also 1 unregistered motorbike and 2 pump action guns. And that's another concern. These people are dangerous. They are armed and dangerous. We can also talk about the AK-47 assault rifles. But what really boggles my mind sometimes is the fact that these things can happen in such places. Now, mind you, the Krokosua Hills Forest Reserve actually is an important watershed. It's a reserve, a forest reserve. In that same area, in a separate development, 2 excavators were demobilized in that same forest reserve, in that same enclave. And to make it even worse, it has been described as one of the biodiversity hotspots in the country, with a rich diversity of rare and restricted ranges of flora and fauna. Okay? Reminds me of Etiwa. And again, it has been designated as a globally significant biodiversity area. How is it even possible? How, for the life of me, is it possible, if in other places that have not been categorized, it happens? You can even find some. How is it possible that such places? It brings me back to that area in Winneba, which recently has come into sharp focus, because this is where for over 3 centuries it's been designated as, again, one of those biodiversity hotspots. It's a wetland. It is where the Abuachiri Festival, the bushbuck is secured, and all of that. All of a sudden, there is talk about that place as well going. I don't get it. Do you have any explanation?
Oh, so you and I know that the LI 2462 is virtually saying that our forest reserves are open for mining. I wouldn't be surprised that there is some concession being given out to some people, and you go deep into it. There is no smoke without fire. How did these Chinese know that that area is available for them to mine? How did they get whatever they need from the district and whoever to go and do what they did? So right now is the Wild West when it comes to our forest reserves, our forests, our rivers. The Minerals Commission, it has opened the gates. And I don't blame the Minerals Commission. That law, that LI was brought to Parliament. And our representatives, most likely the representative of that area, they all approved this. And they should be ashamed of themselves. I say that unreservedly. Because either they are not reading or they don't care what they approve. Forest reserves right now are open to mining. And some of the rules that were there previously that says, you couldn't mine more than maybe 2 or 3% or whatever of it. And whatever you do, you have to reclaim it. They've done away with all of that. So it's open season for our forest reserves. We are shocked when we hear Kakum is on the chopping board. Well, Kakum, maybe because it's got a name, but there are so many other for Ancaster forests and others that are on the chopping board. So we need to be responsible citizens and leaders. We can't always play catch up. So Parliament should call that ally and cancel it or repeal whatever the proper language is. We don't need it. And then we need also to get the Minerals Commission to know that not everywhere in the country needs to be mined. In most places, there isn't even enough gold. So these people are doing trial and error. Forests that are 100 years old are being turned upside down because somebody suspects there might be gold. I mean, what is our geological service, whatever the name is, doing? We have all these public civil service officers. They have specific roles to play. We're going to say that we don't have a budget for them to go and map out what mineral is where, in what quantity, so that when we even give these places out as concessions, they're going out to people who we are contracting to come and mine, so that when they mine, we pay them, we keep some, and we keep some for the local communities. This is how you develop. You don't go and sit in Accra, cut off my hometown to some XYZ company limited. Even when you go to their websites, they don't even have names, some of them. They don't have contacts, they don't have addresses. And the country is being carved out to people who would go and, bully the locals, take over the place, mine it, take the money, leave the pits. It's just what we are doing doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. So we need a rethink, we need a restructuring, in addition to making sure that we enforce our laws. And Parliament must repeal LI 2462 before the first quarter of next year. We can't just dither with this.
Now, let me just take some comments before we gear up to wrap up on this conversation. Godwin Ajetina, who says, I'm in love with the submission of your lady guest this morning. Her name is Elizabeth Vaah. The root cause of all that she said is our constitution. Look, the system is void of accountability. Politics will always be of self-interest and for private gain. The bane of our, well, you say the bane of our woes. Okay, so the bane of our system is the structure of our constitution, where we were made to entrust the affairs of the country and its resources and others to the same people to self-regulate themselves. But there's a comment that comes through from Yahya Mohammed, who says, let me state it clearly to you that you are somehow talking from ignorance, because a Chinese cannot stay in China and know where our gold is in the country through the internet. The truth is that they connect with government officials, and then you go on to say things that I cannot repeat. But you basically suggest that there is collaboration between these entities to basically rip off the people of Ghana. Where you are mistaken is that you probably didn't follow the conversation from the start, because we made mention of this, that the Chinese cannot sit wherever. And no, I made mention of that. So if you didn't catch that, you should season your words. So what then, speaking about that act and moving forward on this specific instance, this forest reserve, what can your outfit, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group, the likes of Awula Sewa and her group, the likes of Arosha Ghana, Juaboso, among others, what are you going to do? One, in respect of the act, to push, to advocate for a repeal of that act, and then two, in this specific instance, how are you going to be on the ground or seek the necessary information so that we know exactly what happens to these Chinese and others? Look, there are people who have said in the past that when some of these people are processed in court and all of that, it's even tricky to find out whether they actually served their jail terms. You've raised suspicions about the police in the Axim incident. What then is the way forward in these two areas?
So in terms of a repeal of the act, Arosha Ghana is leading the pack, but we have over 25 CSOs who have joined hands to call on Parliament to do the needful and repeal it. So I'm adding here that we are not going to forget this. We are going to be on them until it's repealed. And I am watching closely our ranking member, MP Rashid Pelpuo, and everyone else on that committee and in Parliament who cares about our environment. You can't just talk like we are doing. You have the power. You are the people's representative. You have the right to call that LI and repeal it. In terms of, so we are going to continue to be on them, expecting some action on this before the end of the next quarter, the quarter that we are going into. So we are eyeing them on it, and we will continue to use every opportunity to call on them to act. In terms of this particular incident, so we wrote, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group wrote to the Attorney General's office sometime last year to furnish us with a list of how many foreigners have been arrested for illegal mining, how many of them are in our jails, and if any have been released, the conditions under which they were released, and whether, in conjunction with the Immigration Service, they can tell us whether those people have come back or not. They acknowledged receipt of our letter, and that was the end of it. So, Attorney General, if you are listening, get your team to respond to our letter.
You put this forward to Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame, and they acknowledged receipt of your letter. You wanted to know of all of these nationals who had been involved, the foreign nationals involved in Galamsey and all of that. They acknowledged receipt of your letter, but there's been nothing. There's not been a peep from them.
There's been nothing.
Since then. When again? When did you submit this?
We sent this just before Aisha was arrested. Just before she was arrested. So I think it's like almost 4 months, 5 months now.
Wow.
Yes. So that is
this simple information, especially in an age of the RTI, right to information, and all of that. You wrote in the capacity of, executive director of Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group, seeking that information. Till now, unless that is also national security information that cannot be released, you've not got any answer.
Not at all. And so we need that. We need to have that information. We need to follow these things all the way through. We are still waiting to find out. If you remember the missing excavator saga from Elembele, that was it's almost a year now, and nobody knows where it landed. So we need to know what's going on beyond the first few days of these guys have been arrested. What happens? That Axim young man, he is in jail. What happened to the police who he was working for? We need to know these things. So the duty bearers have a responsibility to respond when we ask. And if they don't respond, in a proper democracy, there should be consequences.
I agree with you.
And if there isn't, something is amiss.
Are you not willing to go the route of the RTI Commission to get the information you require?
We will have to go there. I was expecting that. It was taking them a while, they would get back to us. But if that's not happening, yes, we will explore the RTI avenue.
Right. I see this message coming through. Murabi JC A. Latif says, turn your camera to the Sifi Mrewa forest. Sifi Mrewa forest, like old woman. Sifi Mrewa forest reserve. Galamsey is destroying it. Thank you for indicating that, Murabi JC Latif. We shall turn our cameras there and see what is happening there. If you are in that enclave, we're coming for you. Well, let me see whether I can acknowledge some of the other messages that is coming through. Anyway, Elizabeth, this is how we are going to have to cap off the conversation. But I know that there's some activity you are up to in your community. Please tell us a bit about that.
How many hours do you have? So, and before I forget, let me commend the Forestry Commission. They are the ones that made the arrest, right?
Yes. So, in conjunction with the security forces, at least that's what I gather. let's assume that is the case, but the Forestry Commission was in the thick of things, and they are for allegedly engaging in illegal mining activities. The Rapid Response Unit of the Forestry Commission, yes, but the police also came in at a point.
Yes, so let's acknowledge them. Thank you for doing your job this time around. Please don't renege on the promise that you've made to Ghanaians. We are relying on you for the safety and protection of our forests. Now to issues happening in Elembele. So the Elembele district, that is where the river Emenzule takes its source, and then it ends up in the sea, part of it, and then part of it goes all the way to Jomma, where we have in Zulazo, that beautiful village on stilts. And unfortunately, the Emenzule is also being destroyed. In fact, if you've been to Maha Beach Resort, the place where they have their mini port, the river there is being so destroyed that it compares to the likes of Ankobra and Pra. So we are on the traditional council of Lembele, as well as the district assembly, the DISEC, and all well-meaning Nzamas to make sure that we safeguard the Emenzule. Because right now, if Emenzule also goes the way of Ankobra and Tano, then the Nzama area, we should just count ourselves annihilated, because we're going to be poisoned from all these rivers passing through our land and then going into the sea, where most of our families, that's what they live on. So that is an issue that we are pursuing. But beyond that, there is a company called Elembele Community Mining Company Limited that has gone to procure 300 acres of land from Adamus. Adamus, we have an issue with them, and that's also going to come up. But this land that has been procured, there are several communities that are in the thick of it. The DCE goes about saying this is for the community, and everybody is going to benefit, is the best thing that happened. We have said that you've watched the Emenzule get destroyed, you haven't done anything about it. Until that is restored and all the pits in Elembele have been filled, we don't want any new mining, whether community mining or corporations mining or individuals mining. But interestingly, I said, let me find out. Let me lift the veil and find out who owns this Elembele Community Mining Company Limited. So we went to the Registrar General. We have our own sources. And it ended up that the company, the beneficial owners of this company, that is supposedly for the people of Elembele, is the personal assistant of the DCE, Kwesi Bonzo, and then the Ulai of Elembele, Ulai Mshiakmanyu III. You can imagine how it feels. So these two people are hiding behind this company to go and do this so-called community mining. They will end up paying a few young men a few cedis over 3, 4, 5 months, however many months it takes them to take the gold, and then go and share the booty among themselves. So we are very, very, very concerned. And I'm throwing this challenge to the media. Everywhere they say there is community mining, please go and find out who owns the company that is prosecuting that. Because people who should be guardians of the communities have made themselves into predators, and they are preying on on the people. There is so much. There's a reason why our gold does not benefit us, because a few people, a few elites, sit down, they couch things, throw dust into the eyes of the people, and then enrich themselves with it. That cannot happen. That cannot continue.
Elizabeth, I don't know, you've just made me very sad. And I've always had my issues with community mining. I've always pointed to it. I know that there are things going on with that shouldn't be going on. And like you've put it, it's just illegal mining in another cloak. But this time, given the backing of certain institutions and all of that. But like you've mentioned, if we were to look at each one of these community mining areas and go into the ownership, I'm sure we would be visibly shocked.
You will marvel, yes.
So Amanzule is also on the line now. And the question is, how far will we go in destroying ourselves? God help Ghana. Elizabeth, thank you for joining the conversation this morning. Elizabeth Vaah is the Executive Director, Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group. We're glad you took the time to join us this morning.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So having concluded on that bit, in some parts of the country, many children walk to school either on their bare feet or barefoot or wear worn-out sandals. Access Bank here in Ghana is killing two birds with one stone. The bank has fallen on its staff and customers to collect abandoned car tires on the streets and remodel them into sandals for school children who do not have the privilege of wearing sandals to school, something many of us take for granted. We're bringing you something on that shortly, right here on the AM Show. Welcome back on the AM Show. Truly heartwarming stuff. And I was just watching the footage with some of those children with gnarled toes and everything. Imagine having to walk barefoot throughout. When you have the privilege of using shoes, footwear, you take some of these things for granted. But Access Bank coming to the rescue of these communities, especially the children. And as I followed, over 2,500 car tires and over 13,000 of them getting to benefit. Well, to expand on that, we have joining us in the studio Oluwaseun David Akindele. He is Head Corporate Communications and Brand Management with Access Bank Ghana PLC. Oluwaseun.
Thank you, Benjamin. Good morning to you and your lovely viewers. Let me say a very big thank you to you for inviting us here. And I also want to acknowledge my MD, Olatunji, for spurring us on to work on this initiative. Yes.
This could be looked at as some sort of corporate social responsibility, but especially coming around this time, it means more.
Yes.
Because this is a season of giving, of sharing, and all of that. But how did this even start? How did this even come about, this idea, oh, let's target this community and let's provide sandals for them? How did this start?
Interestingly, for Access Bank, we are driven by sustainability. It forms part of our cardinal principles. And what we also choose to do at Access Bank is to, first of all, look at the communities we operate in. And through that, we run initiatives or campaigns around environments we operate in, really. And under 4 key areas of health, of education, of enterprise, and environment. So the simple concept of waste is useful came to our mind, to say waste is not waste until you waste it. And it's driven by something we also had internally as a bank, that you can actually convert waste to wealth. You know, there are a lot of facets to this. So a simple idea of car tires in the bank, of the bank's staff cars. The tires are not going to be used anymore, will be discarded. The whole idea was very simple. It just came up, management bought into it, and we ran with it. And how do we start this? We say to ourselves that we can't do it all by ourselves, we have to partner. So we partner with a company called Chain Afrique. Through that engagement, we realized that one simple car tire, one of your car tire, can actually provide 5 school sandals for 5 children somewhere in Ghana. That's how we kicked off. And before we knew it, everybody bought into it, our staff and our customers as well. And of course, our online social media community. So it's been exciting so far, yes.
Interesting stuff. You know, back in the day, I mean, these are not so common nowadays, but back in the day, we called them Afro Moses. So they used to be much heavier. I noticed that you've made them, if I may be a little naughty, you've made them look sexy. They are pretty light now and all of that. Back then, it was pretty heavy if you had to use them. But this is quite an initiative. Let's talk about the target communities. How did they receive this, especially the children? I was looking at these children having to walk with their bare feet. No one wants to do that. No one who has the means wants to do that. What was their reaction?
So interesting. I'm sure you can see from the footages, they were excited. I think for us as a bank as well, part of our joy is to see that these children can have smiles on their faces from a very simple idea. And to touch on the fact that the sandals have become very quality, and to be honest with you, It's a local company who's done that. So part of this initiative also is to support local industry, shoemaking industry. If I put let me say a horseman shoe logo on that sandal, you would buy it for a good price. So it's not just what we call the Afro Moses back in the days. It's now a quality, affordable, and durable sandal for these school children. And how did we come about this community, these schools? We wanted to focus on those who are really deprived. So for a start, we've kicked off this initiative with 10 schools, across 5 regions in Ghana, 2 schools each for now. But in the next 3 to 5 years, if I have to re-echo the voices of my management, this will be done in the next 3 to 5 years. So we can reach and target more schools across Ghana, yes.
Speaking of targeting more schools, you've mentioned some numbers. Is this something that, is this the first one you've done?
Yes, this is the first one. Initiative just was bettered about a few months ago. And I think we've given about 1,000 school sandals to come to commemorate this year's Sustainability Awareness Week. And it's something that will happen next year as well. It will happen in the year after and the year after. For what we want to achieve really is to make Africa a better place. So we're not just touching Ghana. Our plan is also to expand this to our subsidiaries across 20 other countries in Africa to ensure that children in those schools, in those places are also affected. Interestingly, over 20 million school children across Africa go to schools without sandals. So let's say Ghana is about 5 to 10% of that. And we're doing something great and something good together, yes.
Now, I just want to avert your mind to this as well, even as we talk about people in such communities and including students who go to school probably without. There are also schools under trees, and we use this platform to, you may not be aware of it. We have some of the highest numbers of schools under trees. We've been exposing some of them in our schools of shame. The recent one somewhere, I think in Mepe, in the Volta region, Christ the Answer RC Basic School. So even as you do these, I'm throwing it out there, who knows, Oliver Twist, we may want more. I know the MTN Foundation and others are putting up schools and all of that. Maybe that is another leg. I'm not saying stop with this, but that could be another leg of your corporate social responsibility. So if I asked you what next, what would you say? Beyond all of this, should we expect greater numbers in terms of those who are to get sandals, an expansion maybe across the regions, as many as you can target? What can we look forward to?
So what next for us on this particular project is to expect larger numbers, truthfully. From the time we conceived the idea, just about a few months ago, to the time we executed in October, we could only do 1,000 school sandals. But I can tell you for a fact that a lot more sandals, a lot more tires are still coming in, not just from our staff, from our customers. I want to say a big shout out to Moments and After, also Pro Wheels and KFS, some of our customers who donated tires in large numbers to us. And also our friends on the social media community for Access Bank. So once we get the raw materials here, waste, tires, which is waste. Once we get that, there's no stopping us. And you can hear from my the managing director's commitment as well, to say we're here for the long haul when it comes to this initiative. And also to interest you on the activities around supporting schools. As part of our CSR activity as well, Access Bank has what we call the EVP, Employee Volunteering Program, which of course we've championed for a long time. And most of the focus areas have always been education and health. So I'm not going to shy away from that. Expect more from Access Bank, from the bank itself, and also from the staff of Access Bank, supporting education across Ghana, yes.
So it is a Sandal More campaign. Access Bank taking this on. I always say that, imagine if all the big corporate entities in our country all did something little, no matter how small. So Access Bank does something, that other entity does something, that other bank does something. Put it together, our society would be a much better place. And like I keep saying, everywhere you go in the world, the top 3%, the top 3 wealthy percent, they control wealth that over 50% of the population does not have. How about we share? And especially in this season, that is really heartwarming. A few things you said that got my attention. Waste is useful. Waste is only waste if you don't use it, or waste is only waste if you waste it, yes. And you can convert waste to wealth. And these are all things that we should take in stock. Some of us with our background from both ends, things like food, we don't waste them. We don't waste anything. So this, of course, resonates with us. Any final words, Oluwaseun?
So final word for me is to tell everybody watching us to please support us, bring your raw materials to us, your tires, used tires as well.
Where can they take them? Any Access Bank branch?
No, for Accra, to our head office.
Head office?
Yes, and ask of a lady called Eunice.
Where is your head office located? So they will know.
Accra Sports Stadium, yes.
Okay.
And if you're in Kumasi or the Ashanti region, you have to go to the Hawunjo branch to donate your tires to us, and they will get it to us in Accra, and we'll begin the process. Yes, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody, and to you, Ben, and also everybody at Joy News for your support over the years and things we've done. And I say a very big Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to our customers, management of Access Bank and staff, and of course, those who love us. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Access Bank, as well. We love you and we love what you're doing, at least in all these spheres. Oluwaseun David Akindele is Head Corporate Communications and Brand Management, Access Bank Ghana PLC. Do stay with us. There's a lot more action coming your way on the AM show. We'll be talking about the Catholic Relief Services. A research by that institute or that grouping and its allies has shown that malnutrition, and in particular micronutrient deficiencies and their public health consequences, have huge economic or socioeconomic results. In Ghana, according to a recent demographic survey in 2022, it evinced that more than 1 out of every 3 women has an iron deficiency related to anemia, and 49% of children under 5 are anemic. And again, that anemia is prevalent in 51% of pregnant women. How do we resolve all of this? The Catholic Relief Services joins us for a conversation right up next. Welcome back on the AM show. Let's talk about that latest research put out by the Catholic Relief Services and its allies, talking about malnutrition, micronutrient deficiencies, and others, and even anemia in pregnant women. We bring you details of that based on a 2022 survey. Joining us for the conversation, we have Kofi Essel. He is Director, Industrial Support Services with the Food and Drugs Authority. And joining the conversation as well, Dr. Mawuli Sabla, Regional Technical Advisor on Nutrition, CRS West Africa. That is Catholic Relief Services West Africa. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you, Dr. Sabla, and of course, Mr. Essel. Good morning.
Good morning.
I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
It's been a while since I had an interaction with this man, a long time. And it's good to know that you are still with the FDA doing some good work. But let me start with you, Dr. Sabla.
Yeah.
This whole initiative, this survey from 2022, what was the rationale behind it? What drove you to actually do this?
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin. So, Catholic Relief Services, we are the U.S. Caritas. We are the biggest Caritas globally. We are in over 100 countries. And health and nutrition is one of those key intervention areas where we seek to really address the challenge and uphold human dignity, because that's one of our key tenets. All life counts. So when it comes to nutrition, we have community interventions. But then within West Africa, the Assembly of Health Ministers in 2006, they passed a resolution because of the very high burden of micronutrient deficiencies for mandatory fortification of key staples and condiments in West Africa. So in collaboration with the West Africa Health Organization, that we have an MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, some initial work has gone on fortification of key staples. So vitamin A in cooking oil, iron, folic acid in wheat flour, and of course, universal salt iodization. Because of salt iodization, these days you don't see children with guata or cretinism.
Yeah.
So these
Which used to be common at a point.
Yes.
A little bit common.
Yes. And so over the past 2 decades, some significant effort has gone on across all 15 countries within West Africa. So Ghana has passed mandatory legislation on fortification of these 3 key vehicles. as a way of addressing the high burden of micronutrient deficiencies and its public health consequences. For example, in Ghana, you take almost close to 40% of pregnant women are anemic. 20% of children under 5 have vitamin A deficiencies. You also look at the dietary practices of our people. It's very monotonous. So, yeah, a significant proportion of children under 2 are not able to meet the minimum acceptable diet. So when it comes to the challenges of anemia, iron deficiency, anemia, vitamin A deficiency, because every year you have to supplement children with high dose of vitamin A. It requires a huge logistics. So if we can put it in oil that everybody's consuming every day, we'll be able to reach maybe 70, 80% of the population on a daily basis, providing, for example, maybe 30 to 50% of the recommended daily allowance of these key micronutrients. So it's an initiative that leverages the private sector, but then the public sector has to create an enabling environment. Unfortunately, the local industries are doing the fortification, but sometimes imports coming from other countries are not compliant. So FDA...
And that's where the FDA comes in.
Exactly, trying to reinforce the whole regulatory system. Because our research, which we conducted throughout West Africa, came up with some key gaps. And one of those critical gaps is compliance to the standards that have been established by countries. And some importers and local industries are not complying to these standards. So we thought it wise to procure some analytical devices. And then over the past few days, we've been conducting training of the key regulatory bodies. So the Food and Drugs Authority and also the customs at the ports and also the borders, the police, and also the Ghana Health Service was part of this. So His Excellency Daniel Mumuni, our country director, handed over officially these analytical devices to the Food and Drugs Authority, to the chief executive, with the hope that we will be able to reinforce the capacity of these regulatory institutions to be able to enforce compliance and make sure that our vulnerable populations receive the required micronutrients through these 45 staples.
Right.
So this is really the objective of the research and also of this collaboration with them.
Well, thank you for laying that foundation for the conversation. But let me come to you, Kofi. So on this very point, how problematic has it been for you, the FDA, to deal with this? Because it's a wide net that you have to spread to be able to catch everything. And I'm curious, if we're instituting this in Ghana, how is it that those coming from other countries don't have to meet the same requirements but are slipping through the net? What's happening?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think if anyone is slipping through the net, it will be largely smuggled goods, goods that are coming in not through the right channels. But the challenge has been the spot checks. Then one has to carry out to be able to determine it at early stages and address the problem. And so if you are not very quick to be on the market, to do monitoring on a constant basis. And oil is one commodity that, for example, we consume a lot in the country. And so you'll be surprised a 20-footer container load of oil comes into the country within a week.
It's gone.
It's consumed. And so at times it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
And we have instituted a yearly routine analysis or monitoring of some of these commodities. You'll recall not so long ago, we did a similar work. We came across a very interesting scenario where some people were, you have two standards for tomato products. We all call it tomato mixes and the tomato paste.
Yeah.
The tomato paste has a lot more concentration of tomatoes than the tomato mixes. But people were producing tomato mixes and labeling them as tomato paste. All right. Even though the tomato mix will also contain tomatoes, the standards allow you to reduce the tomato concentration in it. It was through the monitoring that we were able to tell that they were deceiving the consumers. So instead of labeling the product as tomato mix, they will label it as tomato paste, but the specification is that of tomato mix, and they were selling it at the price of tomato paste, deceiving the unsuspecting consumer. It is through monitoring that you're able to detect some of these things. So regulation keeps running after some of these practices. It's unfortunate that some people will slip through, but it is never too late, because at the end of the day, it will hit the market, and if it hits the market and you pick it up, then you will take the appropriate regulatory action. But what Cattle Relief Program has done by supporting the Food and Drugs Authority with these analytical field, equipment, is a welcome gesture, because it is going to enhance the monitoring practices. These equipment are very expensive in the first place. Handling them, that's why we have to take 3 days to go through the training sections in the use or deployment of these equipment. And so, yes, we will do the monitoring, bring it to the lab, and then have it tested. But now we have field kits that you can go to the field with it. You will be at the port with it. And we are not going to concentrate only at, say, the Tema port, because we have several other ports across the country.
Right.
And we know some of the loose areas where most of these people...
Hotspots.
Hotspots. Could you believe we went to a place in Togo? It's a very popular market in Togo. And then we tagged the vehicle. And we spotted the vehicle up north. So instead of coming through a flower, they prefer to travel all the way up north and then move through Temale and come down to Kumasi, make the distribution.
Wow.
Why wouldn't they come in through? But so they look at where your capacities are very low, and then that is what they do. And so you trend the movement, and you get to see that. Why is it that all the vegetable oils coming to the country are coming in through one particular port? You recall some time ago, that one was even more related to rice. The government ruled that all rice imports will come in through Tema Port and not through Elubo and all that. So there are economic practices, and then through that, people manage to smuggle things through. But it is never too late. We'll be able to, get these gadgets. Moreover, we will have to intensify in our public education too, because every fortified food comes up or has a particular identification logo that you put on the product label.
Right.
That is what consumers will also have to look out for.
Right.
Okay, so once they are able to identify themselves with, associate themselves with that particular logo, okay, they will shun away from products that are not fortified.
Right.
And it's important so because of their personal nutritional status.
Right.
That they understood what this fortification is all about, why we are asking that food should be fortified. It is for micronutrient purposes, and we know vitamin A. So there's a public education component of it, and they all go hand in hand. And it is part of a regulatory framework. You cannot have a regulatory framework without public education. Failure to carry out public education will mean that people don't even understand why you are doing this. You know,
right.
I remember one situation like that. I'm going to be Angwa, but I'm going to be a Nyangwa.
Yeah. So I mean, even among the Angwa, there's sunflower, there's other vegetable oil and all of that.
So once you realize that this one is fortified with a micronutrient, that is health beneficial, then I'm going for it.
Right. Let me quickly come to you, Dr. Sabla. So you made mention of cretinism, which in other words, many people will understand, stunted growth.
Yeah.
And interestingly, there's a vitamin A deficiency. If I look at UNICEF statistics in recent times, it points to the fact that 1 in every 5, close to 1 in every 5 children in Ghana under 5 years is stunted.
Yeah.
The growth is stunted. And sometimes you look at children and sometimes you see someone who says he or she is 13 or 15.
Yeah.
You're like, this looks like a 7-year-old or 8-year-old somewhere else. Okay? While 1 in every 10 children under 5 is underweight.
Yeah.
How crucial is vitamin A in building our children and all of that?
I mean, thank you, Benjamin. I mean, you know that children under 5, every year we supplement them with high dose of vitamin A, which is then conserved, in their livers, and then they need it over a period of time. They benefit from it because it reinforces their immune system. It helps them to combat xerophthalmia, blindness, night blindness, And so
someone who uses glasses, we know that it's very good for the eye. Yeah. Sometimes you, even as an adult, you go and buy these supplements because they are good for you.
So vitamin A is a key micronutrient to boost your immune system, but overall, physiological and well-being. So providing vitamin A on a daily basis through fortified oil then helps us to make sure that those who cannot afford diverse diets and those whose diets are monotonous will be receiving some minimum amount of vitamin A, like I indicated, 30 to 50% of the recommended daily allowance, so that we can really sustainably combat vitamin A deficiencies. So in fact, it's just one of those interventions that we are doing at scale, leveraging the private sector, oil industries, and making sure that both locally produced and import are compliant to these standards. And also when it comes to other intervention areas of Catholic relief services within communities where we work, we want to make sure that we are not just addressing just one micronutrient deficiency per se. So we want to look at, the key micronutrients of public health concern. Right. So you're talking of iron, talking of vitamin A, talking of zinc, iodine, and folate. Right. In fact, folate deficiency can lead mothers, to give birth to children with neural tube defect, which means your immune system and your neural central nervous system is not well developed.
I'm told when my mother was pregnant with me and even after birth, one of the few things I allowed her to take by way of medicine was folic acid.
Yes.
And I take it quite a lot.
Yes.
It's very good. It's a B supplement,
B9.
right? B complex.
B9.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So essentially, these micronutrients are required in small quantities, but they are key for our overall health and well-being. And even for those of us who can afford to eat diverse diet, we still supplement sometimes because there's a minimum amount of food you can eat. Yeah. So you need to sometimes take supplement. So you can imagine our mothers in rural communities that do not have even access to these supplements. When they are pregnant, sometimes through the Ghana Health Service, we try to supplement them to avoid all these deficiencies. But large-scale food fortification is one of those sustainable interventions that helps us to consistently address this challenge. Currently, in the northern part of Ghana, we have several initiatives looking at pregnant women and their deliveries and the complications they go through. And CRS has set up kind of a system that allows women to receive the service they need when it comes to delivery, because most of our women die through complications as a result of being anemic, as a result of all the deficiencies linked to.
And I do know that per the data, even before I ask you to talk about the images we're showing, approximately 50 and 66% respectively of non-pregnant and pregnant women and preschool age children suffer from anemia.
Yeah.
Roughly 30% of preschool children suffer from iron and vitamin A deficiency. These are startling levels. So if you don't supplement,
and you cannot repair. You cannot repair, like you indicated. I mean, you cannot repair a stunted brain.
No.
So
once the damage is done,
exactly. Ghana is actually one of those countries where we've made significant progress when it comes to addressing stunting. So we are talking about 18%. So maybe 1 out of 5. But in most other African countries, it's usually more than 1 out of 3.
Wow.
So when you take the statistics,
that's about 30 plus percent.
Yes, for West Africa. And stunting has several factors. I mean, you can have your diverse diet, you can eat right and have all the nutrients, but when a child, for example, has diarrhea, constantly losing those nutrients. So you also need to bring in that integration of water sanitation and hygiene, appropriate care practices to be able to fully benefit even from those nutrients. Right. So we don't look at programs in isolation. We look at integrating these different components: health, wash, nutrition, nutrition-sensitive agriculture, and bringing all the different components together to be able to meet, the required.
Just tell us a bit about those pictures before I come back to Kofi. The pictures we showed a short while ago. What is happening here?
So here, this is the training that we were undertaking with the Food and Drugs Authority, and here they are trying to analyze iron in fortified wheat flour. So they are going through the process using the analytical devices that we have provided, and there you find
One of them, right.
Various key officers from the different regions of FDA all meeting and undertaking this training on how to do this analysis.
Customs officers were also there.
We procured those devices from BioAnalytics, a company in Germany that produces these devices. It's field practically deployed, and it allows us to be able to do the quantitative analysis on the field, at the port, but also at the marketplace. So it's a very convenient and adapted to within the context where we are operating to be able to ensure that there's compliance. We enforce compliance to meet the standards when it comes to the levels of iron in fortified flour, for example, the levels of vitamin A in fortified oil, or the levels of iodine in iodized salt.
All right. Yeah. Kofi, so looking at all of this support, I know you have logistical constraints, you have human resource constraints, like you mentioned, you can't be everywhere like you would want to be, unless you're going to say you don't have those constraints.
Every agency, every institution will have these constraints.
So with these, how is this equipment going to enhance your work, and what would this mean for the nutritional benefits of Ghanaians, especially children?
Well, we as enforcers, as an enforcement agency, it's going to help a huge jump. There will be going to be a huge jump in our monitoring practices. And so, unlike previously where you have to go sample, bring it to the lab, it takes a number of days for you to analyze. And remember, you will have a queue in the lab for you to carry out this analysis. This will allow you to do or carry out the monitoring, and not only qualitatively but quantitatively, because the specifications or the standards for these fortified foods tells you that for this particular micronutrient, this should be the minimum amount in the product. All right, and there was a very interesting incident during the training. A particular oil sample was tested, and you could see the variation. All right, it is understood that these things can occur as a result of storage over a period of time.
Right.
All right, but
there was a flux. You pick the same product, you test about 3, and you are getting different methods.
And this helps us also to either review standards or review the monitoring strategies and all that. And so we're using it just like the police service, receiving new vehicles or new motorcycles, and then they send judicial notices to criminals to tell them that, look here, now we have these devices.
We can chase you.
You have to comply.
You have to comply.
Exactly.
And so in a way, we're telling the importers, we're telling
the local industries,
if you smuggle and bring the product to the market, now I can bring a device to the market there and then, carry out the test, and then we'll be able to penalize you, take decisions there and then. And it is not going to be a situation where we are going to ask you to go and then fortify, because we don't have industries that are going to refortify. Well, it is going to be very expensive. All you have to do is to lose the product, and we're not just going to seize the product because you have failed to provide what the law requires you to. So if, for example, the specification for vegetable oil says that it should be fortified with minimum 10 ppm of, say, vitamin A, and then your vitamin A concentration is less than 2, or it is absent, it fails to be called a vegetable oil.
Right.
And therefore, you will not allow you to.
You can't even put it on the market.
You can't put it on the market. So it is a way going to help us a lot. Yeah. And I will continually say that we are very grateful to the Catholic Relief Services for, coming to our aid and giving us this. Look, public health practices and then protection is diverse, and then you have all kinds of players, and we're very happy that they want to partner the Food and Drugs Authority, and I think Mr. Mutsabla, I would say, has played a very pivotal role in helping the FDA Ghana. Probably not because he has his roots in Ghana. With this particular
charity begins at home.
We have trained him well to be a good Ghanaian. So wherever he goes to, he thinks home. And so I believe that now we can be rest assured. Our officers at the port yesterday, I was at the training program. I sat in for my boss, And you could tell from the body language that, wow, now this is going to be very interesting. And believe you me, as at, I think on Tuesday, Tuesday, there was when this incident of the testing happened, you know, they wanted to deploy the devices there and then. And so this Christmas period, all the vegetable oils that are likely going to come in, every single one of them, right at the port. Not that will allow you to bring it home and then we'll come in later to come and sample, right at the port. And the FDA is working very closely with the port authorities, such that if the FDA says this product is not leaving the port, believe me, it's not leaving the port.
I see.
And the customs were actually at the
customs
training.
were there.
Right.
The police were also.
The customs, this was a customs lab. And so they now speak the same language. They will speak the same language with us. If for nothing, if the FDA test proves positive or proves negative, all right, and we say we cannot allow it, customs of the lab can equally, because they have the same device.
They can also check.
They can also check.
And the results will be the same.
The result will be the same. And therefore, we're going to speak from the same, sing from the same page of the hymn book, and then make sure that Ghanaians receive the best of the nutrition that we are talking about.
Especially important around this time. Final take.
Yeah,
final
probably,
words.
When we talk about food fortification generally, I think it is the education that Ghanaians will have to appreciate. Why is government saying that products or commodities will be fortified? Yes, it is to help introduce micronutrients. And so whenever there is a study that is carried out that shows that there's deficiency of a particular micronutrient within the population, that is why these interventions are brought in. And one that has become of serious challenge is that of salt. Okay, probably the time did not allow us to discuss
iodine.
Right. You know, and at a point in time, you know, I remember at one level, somebody suggested that when we talk about iodine, you only look at iodine tincture, the one that you apply on the surfaces of wounds, and so thinking that we are adding chemicals to product, but that is not it. It's a micronutrient. And beyond goiter, which is very visible, there are other hidden IDDs, what we call the
thyroid gland and its function and all.
The cretinism, the low IQ, weight, low IQ. And that is very, very critical.
You cannot repair the brain.
Okay? The study, before it was started in 2006, you go to a certain community and you measure the IQ. And everyone there, especially those of school-going age, have very low IQ.
And it's because of this deficiency of iodine.
Iodine. Right. And the most surprising thing is that when we introduced iodine in salt, these communities were producing salt, but they don't want to eat diluted salt because they thought we have added chemicals to salt. And that their ancestors
some
have
awareness
eating,
and,
you know. And so we realized that micronutrient fortification should be something that we have to continue to discuss.
Okay.
And I'm very happy that...
I think we'll make more time moving forward, especially as Christmas approaches, for us to get into some of these. Final words, we have to be very brief. Our time is up.
In fact, I mean, as all Catholic Relief Services, we have huge school feeding programs across West African countries, funded by the USDA and also local governments. And as part of that, we're doing more and more procurements of locally fortified commodities. And it's all linked to the fact that we want to ensure that we invest in human capital development. We want to make sure that the next generation of our children are really, you know, in the right nutritional status to be able to contribute meaningfully to the development of our countries. For every $1 that you invest in large-scale food fortification, for example, it turns out to be $16 to $32 in terms of economic outcomes in preventing micronutrient deficiencies. So these are huge. And so we want to encourage our government to be able to prioritize the nutritional well-being of our population. And that will lead to the human capital development that can really contribute meaningfully to the development of our countries. And Catholic Relief Services, our Ghana country program will continue to support the government and people of Ghana to be able to continue to drive this agenda. And we'll continue to stand by the Food and Drugs Authority. Currently, we've revived the National Alliances for Food Fortification. And right after this meeting, we have a meeting with the Ghana Health Services to discuss with them how to make them more functional in engaging the public-private partnership dialogue that is required to ensure that fortification is sustainable in Ghana. So thank you very much, Benjamin, for this.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for the education. I'm sure some people have watched. They've learned a thing or two. All of us have learned something, and we'll also beware. We'll follow your marching orders. And as and when you delineate, just as with like the refrigerators and the rest, you see the star rating. Yeah. As you put that on those labelings, we can also follow and know what we are consuming better. Thank you, gentlemen. Kofi Essel is Director, Industrial Support Services with the FDA. He joined the conversation. We also have Dr. Mauli Sabla, Regional Technical Advisor on Nutrition, CRS, that is Catholic Relief Services, West Africa. Well, from here, we'll be telling you a bit about EduProof and their study abroad opportunities. Stay with us. We'll be back with more. Welcome back on the AM show. Are you contemplating studying abroad? And do you know what opportunities await you? Well, that's why we're hosting EduProof this morning. They'll give you a foolproof system, if you like, on what you have to do. Joining us in the studio this morning, Richard Clotte is team head, EduProof Ghana. We also have Janet Adom, head of application, EduProof Ghana. Richard, Janet, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
EduProof. How long have you been around? Let me start with you, Janet. How long have you been around? Ghana and maybe beyond.
All right. So EduProof Ghana is basically a student consultancy platform. We assist students to study outside, especially in Canada, USA, Australia, UK, Ireland, and whatsoever. But we focus mainly on students getting to settle in these countries. So we focus on countries that students can settle in when they are done with school. So our headquarters is located in Ontario, Canada, to be precise.
Oh, so you're not headquartered in Ghana?
No, please. No, please.
You're in Ontario, Canada.
Exactly.
I see.
And globally, we've been in operations for about a decade and a half. But in Ghana, we've been operating for about a year and over here in Ghana.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. So you are local and global at the same time.
Exactly.
But in Ghana, what has the experience been like? How long have you been around? What have you been up to?
So in Ghana, we have been around for the past year. It has been great. We take everything we do about this seriously. And because of that, we assess our candidates and we can tell if you're getting a visa, because that's the most important thing. And we start the entire process by assessing your document and be able to tell whether you are getting a visa or not before we proceed. And we're not just interested in just applying to any schools. So we are looking at career-based programs and colleges that you'll be easily get opportunity to settle and work, and that's what we do. So anyone who walks into our office, the person should be assured that we are going to give the best of services, and things will be fine with the person.
Okay, so speaking of which schools do you partner or have you partnered in the course of this year or year and a half?
Okay, with Canada, we have partners with we have partnered with most of the schools in Canada. A typical example is that we are representing Laurentian University in Africa, and they will be visiting Ghana somewhere in February. So I'm putting out there
February next year.
Yes, next year. So our viewers should be following us on our Facebook page, Instagram page, so they will know the exact time and the location for them to come and explore the opportunities to study in Laurentian University, Canada, and also some of the amazing scholarship they can benefit while they are studying there.
We just saw, a flyer put on the screen about $60,000 plus in scholarships, which is quite a bit. But I'd like to find out from you, do you focus only on undergraduate study? Break it down for us.
Okay. So we don't focus just on undergraduate, we actually focus on postgrads as well. And so individuals who are looking at furthering their studies, that is masters as well, they could also contact us. We have about 200 partner schools in Canada alone. Laurentian University is one of them. We have University of Manitoba, Trent University, and all these schools are schools that are known for giving scholarships for even postgrad as well. So yeah, that is it.
All right. Now, usually when it comes to these services, people shy away sometimes. They want to go on their own because of cost. Break it down for us. What is your service like?
Great. So with EduProof Ghana, actually our service charge is free. We don't charge for our service.
Hold on there.
So
it's free.
It's free.
Gratis.
Exactly.
Untiashe.
You just pay for the application fee to the school we are applying for you. That is all. So
I see.
is free. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So as my head of application said, it's free. So and therefore there's no need for anyone to go to that stress of trying to look for the right school, the right program. Just walk to us and we'll do that for you without thinking of how much you're going to pay them for the services. And I tell you, we are very professional in what we are doing, and that makes us stand out as EduProof Ghana.
I see. So have you, within this year and a half, what has been the impact, basically, on Ghanaians who have used your route? I mean, where have some of these people gone to?
Okay. So especially for Laurentian University, we have taken about 5 students to campus just this year who are actually on scholarships. We have also other school students in other schools as well. Most of our partner schools, we have Cameroon College, we have Canadori College, students that we've taken to for September 2023 intake. That was just this September. And we also have students whose visas have been approved to go to school in January 2024 next year. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about the quality of education that these students are getting in terms of the institutions they are going to. Tell us a bit more about them, because I'm sure some people will also be saying, okay, so let's go into them, but what do they have on offer? What programs are we talking about?
So we don't want to limit our discussion with the programs, because we can get to
it's a wide variety.
Yeah, you can say from engineering to nursing, business, humanities, anything. Just walk to us and we'll get it. And Canada is known for its education. It's very renowned, and so we'll get you the right thing.
Just to add up to what my colleague said, Canada is actually a country that is looking for skilled workers, and so they are looking at certain caliber of professionals or people in certain fields to recruit them into their country to get them job opportunities as well. So there are certain programs that are actually in demand now, that when you go to Canada to study these career-based programs, it's very easy to get a job. These are IT-related programs, healthcare-related programs, and a lot of programs. That is why individuals who are interested would have to come to us, and then we give them an advice based on that.
All right. Interesting stuff. So you spoke about that fair. Is it the same one that is coming off in February?
Yes.
What can we expect from both of you as we conclude the conversation? I'll start with you, Janet.
Okay. So basically, expect to meet a lot of counselors there at the fair. You'd meet representatives from Laurentian University there that you could ask questions based on the scholarship, any questions you might want to ask about even acquiring your study permit, things based on questions that you might have on how to even migrate, accommodation issues and all of that. So expect a holistic fair and experience during this fair. Yeah.
All right. For you, Richard, what will you add?
So what I would say is that you shouldn't be worried, thinking of whether I'll be eligible or not. Just come, explore the opportunities, and we'll be able to tell when you come there.
Okay, so they shouldn't worry about eligibility.
No.
They should just look at come to know what is involved, and then you take it from there.
Exactly.
Any final words, Richard? Janet?
So basically we are inviting you, come to EduProof, and we'll sort you out.
All right, come to EduProof and they'll sort you out. Janet?
All right, so I would just like to say that we are located at East Legon, American House. We are close to Age Hotel. Our contacts are 054-877-9069.
You'd have to slow down so people can get it. Go ahead.
Okay, so our contacts are 054-877-9069.
Okay.
Or 054-319-0616. So give us a call. We would direct you to our office, and then we can have a chat.
I see a website there. Is it the same one? So can you walk us through the email and website?
Okay. So the email that has been shown on the page, the Ghana@eduproof.io, is an email that anybody who has an inquiry can send a message through. Our website too is available, www.eduproof.io. You could go there and go to the Ghana branch. You would see all our details there as well. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining the conversation this morning. Richard Clotte is team head, EduProof Ghana. Janet Adom is head of application, EduProof Ghana. That's how we cap off the conversation this morning on the AM show. We celebrate you if you're celebrating anything. It could be your special anniversary. It could be your birthday today. We celebrate you. But let me also extend our condolences. Daniel Yao Domelevo, I saw that you had lost your brother. Where our heartfelt condolences to you and to the entire family. My name is Benjamin Akako. It's always been exciting coming your way. Today is not different. Let's look forward to tomorrow, and of course I'll bring you my blunt thoughts. But for now, let's settle for Joy News Desk up next. I wish you the best of the morning.